Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by the big man Bakar to preview the upcoming fantasy game week, Game Week 26. Bakar, double Game Week 25. What an absolute letdown. Double game weeks are overrated. You're inside the top 30k though. What's happened there?
Hello, Jack. Hello, and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. I mean, it was just a bad luck, to be very honest. What happened with Darwin, Jota, Ake, De Bruyne. I mean, these things can happen. It doesn't really change my opinion, and I won't generalize and come up with the narrative that double game weeks are overrated. If this double game week was to be played, let's say 100 times again, I'm sure 99 times out of 100 this scenario wouldn't have happened, and it won't change my approach personally because at the time of buying those players, I was fairly happy and convinced with my thought process. So irrespective of the outcome, I don't necessarily mind how it went. I'll be fortunate enough to get a green arrow again this week. I think unless something drastic happens in the Liverpool game, I'm currently sitting on 89 points actually this week, which is fine. And yeah, I'll take that going into next week.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that, yeah, as you said, we are recording this before the Liverpool game this evening. Liverpool-Luton, that is, of course. But, I mean, unbelievably, with Jota and Darwin at home to Luton, it looks like neither of them are going to play. Well, Jota definitely isn't going to play. Darwin, 99% isn't going to play.
Yeah, Darwin isn't in the squad as well.
Which
Yeah,
is
Darwin
crazy.
isn't in the squad as well. So it's just bad luck,
very
man.
unlucky.
It's just what might have been. And even in the Brentford game alone, man, the second half, I mean, those guys could have made
Yeah.
merry. It's just very unfortunate that it panned out the way it did. But we take the L and we move on.
Apart from that, I mean, you have to be happy with the points anyway. Getting a green. We've seen some
Yeah.
scores that are quite low. Like in the 60s or almost in a game week like this. So 89 is a good score.
89 is a good score. The big worry for me going into this week was no Ollie Watkins and no
Yeah.
De Bruyne. Those were the two main threats to my rank. De Bruyne thankfully didn't do much, and Watkins did well, but I had Solanke instead, who more or less matched him. So my decision to sell Ollie Watkins 2 weeks ago was sort of vindicated because Solanke matched him this week, and in the previous week I played Palmer, which meant that it was basically a net gain of a few points that I made. And now I'll be buying Ollie Watkins again this week. So this is going to be that kind of a week where a lot of people who own Darwin will go back to either Watkins or Solanke, depending on whichever one of them they've sold. And a lot of people who have Jota will be looking to sell ASAP.
Let's have a look at your team for the upcoming game week then. Yeah, as you said, I think Darwin's got to go really because you're going to need Watkins back in. We already mentioned this before the game week. If you didn't have one of Solanke, Haaland, Watkins, that is like the clear front three, I would say, to own. A little bit of love for Tony, who had a decent game week, but again, nothing special. Watkins and Solanke both outscoring.
I mean, Tony's fine, but again, Solanke has a double in 28. Watkins is, his fixtures in the next 2 weeks: Nottingham Forest at home, Luton away. They're as good as they get, really. And Villa also have a confirmed fixture in 29. So it's sort of difficult to buy Tony right now, but I think he will be more of an option in Game Week 29 when a lot of people might look to sell even Haaland that week because he's a tough fixture. Sorry, he's a blank, and then a lot of people will be looking to wildcard in 30 or 31 anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Darwin out to Watkins, pretty standard move there. Looks good. The next move is the tough one. If I click make transfers here on your team and then optimize, we'll see on the My Team tool that you currently, with that transfer, have 10 players. Now, are you thinking of making another transfer for a hit to get 11 players out?
Of course, I think the hit should pay off in the coming weeks because in no scenario do I see keeping any Liverpool in my team. Liverpool, I think, are priority sells simply because they play just twice in the next 4 game weeks, including this one. And then one of the fixtures in those 2 games is against Man City. So yeah, I mean, I just don't see the point in keeping Liverpool players, even if I have to sort of take hits to sell them to field 11. I think it's well worth it. And I've actually made a transfer last night, selling
What an
Jota.
exclusive. It's happened already.
I made one transfer. I sold Jota because he was projected to fall last night. He didn't fall, but he should fall tonight. And in no scenario, irrespective of what happens in the rest of the games, do I see myself keeping Jota. So yeah, with a wild card happening soon at some point, I'll need every bit of team value that comes my way.
Yeah, I think there were some situations where keeping Jota for Forest away could have been all right if you had 11 players already, but I
Yeah,
mean
now that he's
that's
out
at the
for
luxury sort of spot to be in. And now that he's going to be out for he'll be out for an
a
extended
while.
period of time. Yeah, he's got to go. So let's not reveal who you've got in just yet. Instead, can you
I
run
think
us through
anyone
the...
who's and
No, no,
I
no,
think
you
anyone
don't
who's
give it.
looked at
Don't you don't
my
have to give away. You don't have to give it away. I think there are a lot of options. There are
I'm not
more
giving it
options than
away.
you
I'm not
think.
giving it away.
Don't give it
I'm
away.
not
Don't give it
giving it
away.
away, but I'm just saying that anyone who's looked at my Twitter feed in the past week should know who I
That's
bought.
fair. That's fair. Well, if people have been following you on Twitter, as always, our Twitters are on screen every single episode. Then they might have an indication of who you've gone for. But just run us through the options, because there are a number of options for Jota
Yeah,
replacements and just midfield replacements anyway. So before we hear who you've gone for, who are the standouts?
I think there are quite a few options that people are considering between. I mean, there are Aston Villa mids, Douglas Luiz and Bailey. Uh, I personally prefer Luiz to Bailey because he's more nailed. He's
Ooh.
on penalties and he has more routes to points. Even though Bailey is the more exciting and plays in an advanced position, I'm not still confident about his minutes. So I would rather go with the guy who's on set pieces, who's nailed for 90 minutes, who's on penalties. And I mean, it's boring, I guess, but yeah, that's the way it is. And Aston Villa are sort of appealing now that because they are playing at home to Nottingham Forest this week, and then they also have a confirmed fixture against West Ham, who themselves are out of form in game week 29, and in between their fixtures are good as well. So a lot of people are looking at Aston Villa mids, and I think if you're going there, because the main appeal is that you're sort of not locking yourself into free hitting in 29 because they have a confirmed fixture in 29. The appeal increases further. And I think if you're picking one, I would probably go with Douglas Luiz if you're picking an Aston Villa mid. Other than that, there's Bowen. Again, good run of fixtures. West Ham are sort of out of form. They're not really performing well, and Bowen has sort of not done much in recent weeks. He's sort of fallen away. But again, he is the talisman in that team. Paqueta is coming back soon. And again, he has a fixture again in game week 29, which again adds to his appeal. The ones I like the most, though, the Wolves guys,
Yeah.
Huang and Neto. I have personally gone with Huang. I will give
Oh,
it away
Huang's
now.
in.
Huang's in. I just think I want to have a Wolves midfielder who's playing out of position as the striker and is potentially on penalties against the Sheffield United team who have conceded the highest number of goals at this stage in Premier League history. And I just want to attack the fixture because
Yeah.
I know that there's every chance that Wolves blank in game week 29, but I'm not thinking too far ahead at the moment because as things stand, my team is projected to have just four fixtures in 29. So I might pre-hit or wildcard before that anyway, right? So I just want to take the points in the immediate short term, and then I'll see where we are at in, game week 27, 28, 29. Because depending on FA Cup results, a lot could change,
Yeah.
right? And I don't really want to lock myself into any plans at the moment. I just want to take the immediate gain that I'm getting, and then I'll move on. When I compare Huang with Neto, because I know that's going to be your next question, Huang has had 12 big chances compared to Neto's two this season, and he's playing as a striker and he's on penalty, so he has a greater goal threat, which gives him a greater ceiling. Huang is more, Neto is more of a creator. He's a good pick, but I would rather go with the guy who has the highest ceiling personally. I think Odegaard
Yeah.
is an option I want to mention as well. A lot of people who don't own triple Arsenal can go with Odegaard because Arsenal have a
Oh,
good run
so
of fixtures as well. Newcastle this week, Brentford, and Sheffield United in the weeks to come. So I think Odegaard is a solid buy as well, personally. Yeah, these are the guys
wow.
who I would look at.
Odegaard's a fun shout. I hadn't even considered him. I like that a
Odegaard's a good
lot.
shout, yeah.
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 Oh, that is a
I
great
personally
shout.
have double Arsenal. I personally have
Yeah.
double Arsenal defense, so I'm not going there. But if anyone is to buy a mid, then I personally think Huang is the best, and Odegaard is Odegaard and Luis are probably the second. Douglas Luis and Odegaard, I think they're joint second. I don't really have much to split between
I mean,
them.
yeah, you're talking about obviously attacking the fixture, which, by the way, I completely agree with. I do think that in any other fixture, really, or most other fixtures, I'd probably lean towards a Villa midfielder just to leave 29 open as much as possible
Yeah.
for not using a chip in that blank game week. But it's so hard not to attack that fixture. I mean, Sheffield United are so bad. They just are. Even with 11
Basically.
men on the pitch, they are just awful.
And Jack, what this feels like in Game Week 21, I remember specifically, a lot of FPL managers were considering, buying different mids. And I went with Richarlison. That was a time when Son and Salah went away. I went with Richarlison despite the fact that he was blanking in Game Week 26, which
Yeah.
is basically this
Yeah.
week. And the points that I made in the short term were significant enough to justify any transfer out later. And I think a very similar situation could occur again with Huang, and I don't want to miss out on that opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that is the reason why your rank is better than mine right now, is Richarlison and me going for Bowen. And just the difference in points there was, what, 30 across those
Yeah,
5 weeks?
it was insanely high. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was insanely high. So yeah, I just think there are points to be gained this week, and you just worry about what happens, your chip strategy later after the FA Cup results in 27, because it's worth mentioning that before Game Week 27 we'll have more clarity on the basis of FA Cup results, which are scheduled to happen in next midweek. And then before Game Week 30, we'll have even further clarity of the Game Week 34 double and the Game Week 37 double. So I see these two windows giving us plenty of information in the times to come, which is one of the reasons why I personally prefer taking a hit this week as opposed to wildcarding. I see a few people wildcarding. I don't necessarily like the idea. I think taking a hit or two to field a playing 11 is much better than committing to a wildcard this week without having that clarity and going into the blanks and doubles with a cloudy judgment.
Yeah, 100%. That makes sense to me. Okay, so those are your two transfers confirmed then, pretty much. Huang in,
Yeah, Darwin to Watkins will
in.
happen. I think that's fairly straightforward as well. I mean, Charlie Taylor is expected to play, so I'm going to just risk playing him rather than taking a hit because I do expect him to start. And similarly with Ake, he should come back in. I'm not exactly concerned about him either against Bournemouth. He played really well against Bournemouth last time, and I think this is a fixture where he will play. So yeah, I mean, even though him having a rest in the double game week wasn't exactly ideal, I think it sort of works out well in a way because it gives me an extra player in game week 26.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about captaincy.
Yeah.
I really want to go against the grain here with my team myself and go for Saka. Am I allowed to do that? Is that a route that is feasible, or is it too risky because Haaland has a decent
This is a very
fixture?
tricky question. I think a lot of discussion that we've had in this video has been fairly straightforward, but I don't necessarily think that the captaincy is something I'm personally too convinced on this week.
Me
think I
neither.
would probably resort to the safe choice in Haaland, but I like Huang.
Yeah, wow,
Huang.
really? Oh, that is crazy.
I like Huang. I'm serious. I like Huang.
Let me ask you about Huang. Is he definitely on penalties? Is Huang definitely 100% on penalties?
He's not 100% on penalties, but I've been speaking to a few Wolves fans and they think it's going to be between him and Sarabia.
Yeah.
And we basically haven't really seen a situation where both of them have been on the field and who has taken pens. So it's difficult to guess. But the fact that, he's a striker and he was taking pens for South Korea as well ahead of Son. And he was putting them away. And he has a good track record. And the fact that Sarabia gets taken off around the 65 to 70 minute mark.
That's true.
Means that there's a good chance that he's on pens. I won't say that it's confirmed, but I mean, I would like to flirt with the possibility at least.
Yeah, 100%. So if I was to push you for an answer, I mean, no, let's talk about Saka actually. Huang versus Haaland. I don't think you're going to go Huang. Is that really an option?
I think I'm personally between Huang and Haaland.
Really?
Saka is close, but I don't think I'm going to captain Saka. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to captain Saka.
Why would you not captain him against one of the worst defenses in the league right now? Free scoring Arsenal. He's scored 6 goals in his last 4 games, something like that.
He's doing well, but I don't know. I mean, there's something about Newcastle. They are woefully out of form, but you never know when they turn up, right? So it's just that possibility, which is sort of making me feel as if that it's possibly not worth the risk. We know that City are City, and they'll probably score 2 or more goals against Bournemouth. We know that Sheffield United are absolutely terrible. They concede 2 or more goals as well. The bookmakers expect them to. So personally, I think I'm gonna go with the City or the Wolves option.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. I would love it if you go for Huang.
I do think Saka's a fantastic pick though.
I'm very tempted to go for
him. I think it's 65-35 Haaland for me right now, but it could easily change because it's close. It's close. It's one of those weeks where you're sort of chasing. You can maybe go against the grain.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'd be silly in my position to do that. I mean, I'm not really chasing, but I just feel like if Saka gets a goal, which I think he will, then Haaland would have to get 2 to outscore him. And I don't think the swing can be that bad because I'll obviously own both. I have really been tempted by it, but I don't know. We'll see when it comes to the deadline what I actually end up doing. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see who you captain. If you do go Huang, I will say fair play. That'll be an elite move. and I would hope that it works out.
I hope so.
But we'll have to see what you end up doing in your final team reveal. Transfers locked in, but captaincy not.
Captaincy not, yeah. Barring any further injuries, I think transfers this week are locked in. And thankfully, there are no benching headaches to worry about either.
That is the beauty of a blank. No bench points. No bench points.
Beggars can't be choosers, but yeah, I'll play Areola again over Dubravka, even though I expect both to concede. That's something that's gonna happen.
To be fair, as it stands, I think I might be benching Charlie Taylor. I think that might be happening.
You have the luxury to bench him.
I do.
That's a flex.
Well, it's for
I take that as a flex in a blank game week.
It's for a Stupinian though, so I'm not sure. Not sure if that's worth it.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty close between them. I do expect Palace to score, but I don't know.
It all comes down to whether you expect Stupinian to start, right?
Yeah.
Because Brighton were really good last week, and it was a surprise to me to see him being benched. I just don't know. De Zerbi is very random with the selections. I won't be banking on a Stupinian start, but yeah, I mean, I guess if he starts, he's the better option.
Yeah, I think Taylor's upside is not massive. Let's be honest. But he has done well when we needed him before. To
be fair, I'm not gonna badmouth him. I'm not gonna badmouth him. No. The only 2 times I've played him this season, he's gotten a 10-pointer and a 6-pointer. So I'm not gonna badmouth him at all.
Maybe I have to start him.
So I'm just hoping for more positive variants my way.
Yeah, 100%. All right, my friend. That's gonna do it for this one. I think. Pretty simple stuff.
Sure.
Not too many quandaries, and yeah, as you said, your transfers are done, or one of your transfers is done. The other is an inevitability. So yeah, let's hope the streak continues into the top 30k now. Yes, you'll probably drop out of it at the end of this game week, but it looks like you may well have another green arrow. Very good stuff. And as always, thank you very much for your tips and advice.
Pleasure for having me. Good luck to everyone this week.